The art of small talk. I'm an autistic that likes small talk, but I didn't used to. A lot of people in the autistic community, especially online, express how they hate small talk because they think it's pointless, useless, boring, shallow, surface level. I used to say the same thing until I had to literally learn the art of small talk, and then I realized just how necessary it is. Small talk is how we connect with people. That is how we build community. It is how you learn whether someone's trustworthy or not. You shouldn't go to some random person you just met or someone you barely know and discuss your deepest secrets or the trauma that you've been through in great detail or some serious heavy topic when you're at like the grocery checkout or at a work event you just met this person. It's not socially acceptable and it's not appropriate. And normally when I hear the phrase socially acceptable, I roll my eyes and scoff. But it does matter here because you can harm someone by telling them about your trauma in great detail, unsolicited, non consensually when they didn't ask for it, and it's not a setting where it's appropriate. There is a time and place that you have to learn how to decipher for yourself and everyone around you. I know there's a lot of people who think that taking it slow is boring and uneventful. For me, I've realized that going too intense too fast can be a surefire way to make the relationship of any kind crash and burn. You're not going to build a house in a day. You need time to build a proper foundation and then to get the measurements right for the rest of the house. It takes time, and the time passes anyway. You might as well use that to your advantage to let things flow more naturally instead of forcing it. It's going to take some time to get to know somebody and decide whether or not you want to keep them in your life anyway. Small talk is a great way to do that because you will get to know people on a deeper level through small talk. And I know that there's a lot of people who don't believe that, but I'm here to explain why it is a lot deeper than surface level. I didn't used to know how to small talk until I started my cashier job. I feel like I was forced into learning how to small talk because I didn't want to actually cashier. I just couldn't get a job. The economy is really, really bad right now in the USA, and I had to keep a roof over my head. Cashiering was one of the easiest jobs for me to get, knock on wood, because I know it's not easy to get anymore. That was about a year ago. But the turnover rate is really high for cashiers because nobody wants to do it because you're dealing with the mean, nasty general public on a daily basis. And I gotta say, a good portion of the public unacceptably enjoys bullying and harassing cashiers. So you learn a lot about people in general and how to talk to people and how to deal with them for survival and for fun by being a cashier. And that is how I got over a lot of my issues with small talk and social anxiety in general. But I didn't realize how much I love small talk now until I didn't have an opportunity to do it anymore. Now that I'm not around customers as much, I find myself going out of my way to volunteer to help customers because I want to talk to people. I used to hate small talk when I didn't know how to do it because I would run through a list of questions in my head. What if I say something wrong? What do we even talk about that the both of us care about? Do I have to pretend to care about something that they're talking about? Or can I express that I don't care? Is that going to be rude and hurt their feelings? Or is it going to help our relationship navigate what to talk about in the future if I tell them straight up I don't care about this? Will I get offended if they tell me that? Sometimes I do pretend to care about certain things, and sometimes they pretend to care about certain things that I'm talking about. Other times, when we disagree with each other or we express, oh, I do this instead, we can find ways to relate it back to ourselves to get a conversation flowing and also have fun learning about each other. For example, I have a coworker who loves yogurt, and this was before I discovered yogurt like a month ago, right? I haven't eaten it since I was a kid. I just never really liked it. But I learned that they liked yogurt. I don't like yogurt. Couldn't care less at the time. But that little moment that we shared, that small talk, helped me connect with them deeper because now when I know the yogurt sales ahead of everybody else because I do the price tags, I can tell them and they can get the good deals, and that is how we connect with each other. That's a little bond that we have that we didn't have before. We formed a little bit more trust with each other. Shoes are another thing that I love to talk about. I'm not a big shoe person at all, but people love their shoes. They have specific shoes for a reason. That says a lot about either their financial situation or their values. For example, I used to wear my beat up Vans. I'll show you. These beat up slip-on Vans with the Dr. Scholl's inserts. I wore them until the sides literally ripped out. That says a lot about me as a person because it shows that I would rather go for old reliable than buy a new pair until these are completely worn out to the point where I literally can't wear them anymore without being in pain or in danger of slipping, falling, etc. Next, I bought these Adidas Sambas to replace them. And yes, it is Adidas, it's German. They're already a little worn down, but they're extremely comfortable. And I was not looking for these when I bought them. I went to Sam's Club to get my groceries for the next month. I found them and I bought them. And I haven't taken them off since because they're extremely comfortable and stylish. But I never would have gone out of my way to buy those. When I find that somebody else went out of their way to buy the bright orange sneakers that they're wearing on a daily basis, or someone just had someone order something random off the work catalog for them because they didn't want to be bothered with it, that says a lot about somebody. I didn't used to think that that conversation was important, but it really can give you a peek into who they are. Do they like shopping? Do they care about how they look in their outfits? Do they prioritize comfort? Do they go for the shoes that work pays a portion of? Do they like to replace things when they have a little wear and tear, or do they wear them until they look like ass, like I do? Another example is looking at flowers that I bought for myself at the store. What kind of flowers do you like? Do you buy them for yourself or for a loved one? Is it for special occasions only, or do you get them once a week or once every 2 weeks? I found out recently that some people hate roses because they think they're cliche, so they get offended when they get roses. I, on the other hand, don't care about pop culture trends like that and the micro trends. I don't care if you think roses are cliche. I love them and I think they're stunning. I love the way that they smell. They're great for spell work and things like that. So I don't mind when someone gives me roses. I think that's a beautiful thing. Some people will say, oh, I love roses if it's from someone that I don't know very well. But if it's a partner who knows my favorite flower is chrysanthemums and they're giving me roses, I'm going to be offended by that. And I would totally agree with that. See, we got a conversation going. We got to know each other a little bit better, deeper. Small talk is just the tip of the iceberg for what's underneath. It's like the gateway. One more example. Smells Like Teen Spirit by Nirvana. Some people only know that song. Others know it and they hate it because it is so popular. It's their most popular song. Personally, I love it. It's a great song. It's popular for a reason. I will not knock someone down for liking that song just because it's popular, but people have shit on me for even just wearing a Nirvana t-shirt, thinking that I don't know the band even though I've been listening to them for 15 years. I feel like that type of conversation can show you whether or not someone's accepting and more open-minded than someone who immediately calls a fan a poser just because they like a popular song. When I was in social work, I really did struggle with small talk because I was so used to talking about these deep, heavy conversations that sometimes it felt like small talk was unimportant. Like, for example, you're a client calling me about a traumatic event that you just experienced 2 days ago. Why do we have to even bother with the weather? Let's get into the meat of the conversation. But the weather is an important topic because it's going to lighten the mood a little bit, let the person take a breath, and kind of suss out for themselves if they want to trust this person, me, the social worker, with certain details. I can also get a gauge for what the client is like and how I can approach certain conversations in a trauma-informed lens. Icebreakers are important. When I was unable to small talk, a lot of people claimed that I was standoffish, like it seemed like I didn't care about anyone or anything, that I hated to be there because I didn't think anyone was important enough to chat them up. In reality, I didn't have a problem with anybody or where I was or what I was doing. I just didn't know how to small talk, and I also didn't care to learn how. And I didn't realize that I was facing consequences in real time from not knowing how until I actually learned how. And that says a lot about my privilege, of course. Simultaneously, I did lose a couple jobs because of it, because I didn't know how to talk to people. And especially in social work, you need to know how to talk to people. In customer service, you need to know how to talk to people. And if you can't talk to people about lighthearted topics, I struggle to believe that you could talk to them about heavier topics, because I'm speaking from experience looking back at my behavior and how good or bad I did at certain jobs. While I could have run through a script, when it comes to human, I really struggled with that because I just didn't know how to connect with people on that human to human level. Something I struggled with a lot in social work was the fact that we did have to follow a script. We did have to follow a certain protocol, and it was really hard, depending on where I worked, how much I could bring my own humanity into it because of the social work poker face that's encouraged or was taught to me in my degrees. That's a whole different story though, but small talk was very hard for me in social work. It's a lot easier for me in customer service and retail because there's a little less pressure for me to look pristine and uphold this image that these nonprofits and for-profit social work organizations expect of you, because in retail you're more just like a person rather than an image. Even though you are still an image of the company, it's a little less intense in my opinion. In the past, if I saw someone doing or saying a certain thing that I disagreed with, I would cut them off immediately. Literally immediately. My bar was way too high for pretty much any human, and that's why I was alone for so long, because I didn't want to connect with people. I let no one in. I only wanted to know all of the deep stuff. I did not care about any of the stuff on top. Humans are way more complicated than that. You have to be okay giving them a little wiggle room. You can't look for yourself in everybody because you're not going to find every aspect of yourself in everybody, and that's a good thing. While we do subconsciously look for ourselves in others, not everything about me is good that I should be finding in other people. And the less self-awareness I have about it, the more I might subconsciously seek it. That's from my own personal experience. It's okay to disagree with people on certain values while still having them around in your life and being friends with them or partners with them, etc. For example, vegans being friends with meat eaters happens all the time. Not every vegan or every meat eater hates each other to the death. Some people might have that as a deal breaker, while other people might understand it's a little bit more complex than that and is on a case-by-case basis, depending on whatever nuance that person sits in. Not too long ago, I posted a TikTok where I said very basically and broadly that you can still disagree with the creator's takes while still liking the creator. I threw a caveat in the caption because I knew people were going to attack me for this, and they did. They proved me right. And the comments, I swear to God, are so ridiculous. Someone was literally anti-reading. But my caption said something like, obviously this is not if you have different views on human rights, etc. This is about more simple things with less nuance. I'm talking about things like, do you eat meat? Yes or no? That's not necessarily a deal breaker for most people, but do you deserve to die or do you deserve to live at the hands of your government? Yeah, of course that's a deal breaker. My God, people have no understanding of nuance. I won't get into that again. The reason I bring that up though is because you can tell those certain things about people, whether or not something is a deal breaker, based on small talk sometimes. It's not always sitting down and having a very deep conversation that's very intense and serious and emotionally charged. Sometimes they'll say something in your little small talk that will immediately let you know whether or not they're safe. Again, I say small talk determines whether or not someone is trustworthy. You have to connect with others. Humans are social creatures, and you live in the USA right now, times are not good. You need a community to rely on. And I say that as someone who used to have no community. I literally had to figure out a way to connect with my relatives that I didn't want to connect with so that I could have some form of community again. And yes, it is like my phone is running out of space. So long story short, it will bite you in the ass if you brush off small talk as something useless and pointless when it is literally the way that you connect with other people on a healthy and appropriate level. It's important to know how to communicate appropriately and situationally. And I love small talk. It's fun to shoot the shit with people because pretty much anything can be talked about, and I enjoy talking. Anyway, thank you for listening to me yap about something deeper. If you enjoyed this, please stick around. I'm going to be posting a little bit more on YouTube instead of TikTok because I realized that if I want people to go to my YouTube, then I can't just be reposting all my TikToks on here. So there will be more just on YouTube. Thank you for listening. Have a good day or night, whatever it is, whenever you're watching this. Bye.